Hi everyone, my name is Monique.
And I'm Naveen from Before You Play.
And today we're going to be showing you one round of gameplay for the Defence of Procyon III.
Yes, this one is designed by David Truczi and published by PSC Games, who are helping sponsor this video. And this is a 2v2 space and land combat game where two people are going to be the aliens and two people are going to be the humans.
Yes, with all asymmetric turn structure. And so if you're interested in learning how to play the game, we've made a tutorial video for it that details all of these instructions for all four factions. And you can find that video up here.
And also, if you do like these kind of videos and you want to see more in the future, please consider subscribing.
And with that, let's get started. So if you please direct your attention to the center of the table, we're all set up here for the land battle, the very start of the round for the Defense of Procyon III. As you may already know, the game starts with the alien principal player on land. And so today, Naveen is going to be playing as the alien team. So he's going to start with the alien principal player, and I'm going to be playing as the human team. And so we are all set up according to the instructions in the rule book. I do want to note that if you are setting up for a full 4-player game of this, you're most likely going to have both boards set up side by side.
Yep.
But for ease of viewing, we're going to show one board at a time. So Naveen, take it away.
Okay, so I have my 4 command cards to start the game, and once again, we can play 3 of these total over the course of the turn, but you have to resolve one at a time completely. The first card I'm going to play, the first command card, is going to be Eastern Settlement, and I'm going to play it for the top portion of this card. So I'm going to ignore what's here at the bottom, and I can play this top portion in one of 3 different ways. I can move and attack, or I can attack twice in that location. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to move into the Eastern Settlement, but I'm only going to move, I'm not going to attack. And that means I can move up to 5 units. So I'm going to move the Empress.
Ooh.
2, maybe, let's call it 3 legions in.
Okay.
And then, of course, my Centurion for a little bit of muscle. So we have 5 units in. Of course, I have to mind the white lines because that is adjacency. Red lines are not adjacent.
Okay, these scientists are probably scared.
They're surrounded.
That's horrifying.
Yes. The second command card, I'm also going to play the top half. This is Alien Vanguard, but this time I'm going to move and attack. So I'm going to move units from here into this western vent. And so I'm going to move my Centurion.
Okay.
And 2 legions in. And because I've moved 3 in, maximum of 3 in, I am allowed to attack in this location. So now I'm going to attack, and because I have 3 units here divided by 2 rounding up, I'm going to be able to pull 2 cubes out of this Procyon bag right now.
Oh
so
my gosh.
See what we got. All right.
It's not looking good for these people right there.
They might be goners. So I'm going to pull out. Okay, I have 1 and 1, so that means I'm going to have 1 successful attack and 1 miss.
Okay.
But there is a deflector here, Monique, so that means you get to assign where the damage goes.
Nice.
That's the benefit of the deflectors.
Some good pre-game planning.
Yeah.
Not really, it's just actual
It's
setup.
part of setup, yep.
Well, let's see. So this building has 2 hit points. So it could take 1 more damage, but I am worried about Naveen's next turn if he's going to attack me again. So I might just remove one of these guys.
Okay, so one of your militia was killed.
Yeah.
They only have 1 health point.
Yes.
So whenever that happens, then we're going to put out a fallen token here. So in the future, I might be able to spawn more legions from them or spawn critters, which would score points.
Right. These are equally as horrifying if you think about this in a real life situation.
Yeah.
But I believe now that this has been used,
Yep,
I
it's
discard
gone.
it. This
Yep.
is gone.
It's a
One-time
one-off.
use tokens. Until I can rebuild another one.
And because I drew exactly 1 focus cube, all of them are going to go back in the bag.
Including that sweet Discord cube.
Yeah, that one kind of ruins plans sometimes. Okay, the last turn of this round for me, I'm going to play this command card. It is the Vents, which basically allow me to do things in these 3 locations. I'm again going to play it for the top action here, so I'm going to ignore the bottom. And I'm going to do a double attack, so I'm not going to move any units in or out. All I want to do is just attack this same area twice.
Oh, it's bad news.
Yes, so we're going to resolve each attack 1 by 1. So same kind of math that we had on the previous turn. So we have 3 divided by 2, rounding up. So I'm going to draw 2 cubes from the bag. I'm trying to get to these scientists.
Discard.
2 cubes, 1, 2. Okay, we have another balance here. So this time, though, there is no deflector, so I
Right.
get to determine who gets taken out. So I'm going to go ahead and take out your little militia right here.
Okay.
So I'll see you later, militia. I'm going to spawn a second fallen token because this, like I said, in the future could potentially score points by spawning critters there. All right, so these, because we have the same exact draw, they're going to go right back into the bag like before. And here we go. We're going to do it again.
And this is going to be for the building.
For the building
this
only,
time.
yes. You're not
Yes.
allowed to attack scientists until all structures or units have been attacked.
Yes. I didn't even get to use that building yet.
No, I'm taking it out, hopefully. All right, once again, okay, very good
One
for
and
you.
one. Okay.
That's man. Okay, so these buildings have a hit point of 2, so one of the hit points is out.
Okay.
The next time this gets attacked, this would flip over, and I would be able to build a sky beam. Not going to happen this time. I really wanted it this time.
Very good effort.
Same draw again, so they're going to go right back in the bag, and that is going to wrap up my turn. Yep.
I mean, that was a good effort to get the building destroyed. Had this building gotten destroyed, it would have automatically converted into a sky beam, scoring the alien team points and also giving the alien meld player the ability to activate an additional zone during their turn. So the fact that that building still remains is very good news for us.
And I finished my turn by drawing up to 4 cards.
Wonderful. Now turn proceeds to me back in space as the human Armada player. But as for anybody out there who is playing the human expedition player, now is the perfect time to start thinking about your turn because, like I said in the instructional video, the board state is most likely not going to change. All right, so now it goes to me as the human Armada player in space. And so Naveen got the land board a little bit set up for the alien team, and I'm going to try to do the same for the human team.
Okay.
As you can see, I already did my card setup, so I have my 3 tactics cards in my hand, as well as 3 tactics cards in my combat deck. And so I know that there are 2 cards in here with a strength of 2, and there's one with a strength of 4. Okay. I shuffled it before we started the game, so I don't know the order that they're in.
But you know what you're kind of capable of.
I know what I'm capable of, yeah, exactly. So I'm going to go ahead and start my turn with the Prometheum phase. Because my lunar refinery is intact, I gain a Prometheum.
Nice.
So I'm going to take that now, and I have an available Prometheum area here. I'm just going to go ahead and place that there.
And always in the first round, you're going to be able to do this.
Yes. And on a future turn, if there was a scientist transport in one of the orbital zones that still has a 2 Prometheum attached to it, as long as I have either a dreadnought or a frigate in the same zone, then I also collect its 2 Prometheum. So now I'm going to move on to my tactics phase. I can choose to either play a card, which I'm pretty much going to do as much as I can, or I can forego that to take 2 coordinate actions and gain echo drones instead. So I'm going to play a tactics card. And I'm going to play my ablative armor. And so this card is going to allow me to activate 2 frigates and 1 dreadnought. Okay. In addition, at the end of my turn, when I discard this card, my first active technology is going to be this. It says, while this technology is active, frigates have 1 additional shield, which means they'll have 6 shields. Okay. So they'll be a little bit stronger. Yeah. So first, I'm going to activate one of my frigates. And I think I'm going to activate this one from this area over here. And so I'm going to move it once into this zone over here and then perform ranged combat and attack one of the ships in this zone, because you may want to consider attacking the mothership because it's going to gain you a lot of points if you can destroy it. And so I just kind of want to get that started a little bit. Okay. And seeing as I don't know the order of the cards in the strengths in my combat deck, I'm going to start kind of simple, and I'm going to target a Fang. They only require 2 hit points, so I'm going to be able to destroy that for sure.
Oh, because you know what's in your combat deck.
Yes, exactly. Okay. All right, ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you overpay.
So, top card. Oh, it is my 2. So it's one of the 2 2s that I have in there, which means I'm going to have a 50% chance of drawing the 4 next. Right. Yep. This ship is out. And I'm just going to put it off to the side here for now. And I'll give it back to Naveen later because he can regenerate his ships. But at least this way I can keep track of how many ships I destroy in one round. And I'm going to go ahead and place an activation token right next to that frigate to show that it's been activated this round. All ships can only be activated once per round, so that one's done. And since my tactics card allows me to activate another frigate, I'm going to do the exact same thing again with this frigate. Okay. So I'm going to move in over here and I'm going to perform a ranged combat. Targeting a hood this time. Okay. Because the hoods require 3 hit points, and I know that I have a 4 attack strength in here, so I'm basically taking my chances.
You're going 50-50.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Ready?
Okay.
All right.
4.
Aha! Okay, so I took a good bet there. So that was 4. I overpaid a little bit, but it's fine, because one of these hoods is going to go out. And at the end of the round, I'm going to get 2 points for the human team because I destroyed 2 ships.
That's right. For every 2, you get 2 points.
Yes. And I really wanted to target a hood because the hoods are pretty powerful. They can make each other powerful.
Stronger. Yeah.
And they prevent my ships from performing ranged attack. So I'm going to go ahead and place another activation token next to that frigate. So now I'm going to perform my final activation, which is going to be one of my dreadnoughts. I have 2 of them. I have one in here and one in here. So it's up to me which one I'd like to activate. And I think since I'm showing a strong sense of force over here, I might as well continue, right?
Sure.
So with dreadnoughts, you can either move and launch a new interceptor, or you can go into combat. But since I'm not next to any enemy ships that I can perform combat with, I'm going to move one space over to join the frigates in this zone. And I'm going to launch an interceptor from my reserve over here. So I only have 6 of them, but it gets placed right there in that zone.
Okay.
This dreadnought is technically activated, but this interceptor is not. And so if I had another activation, I could activate that interceptor, but I don't. So that's where it's going to end. And now that I'm finished activating the dreadnought, I can perform 2 fleet movements, essentially. And this allows me to move 2 other ships. They just cannot be the other dreadnought, and they can't be scientist transports. So now that I'm kind of in position over here to either move towards orbit or to move towards a mothership, I probably want to start moving over here. So I can kind of approach orbit from 2 different directions.
Yeah, 2 fronts.
Yeah, so I'm going to move 2 of my frigates. I'm just going to move them 1 and 1, just like that. And both of these frigates are also considered activated. And actually, I'm going to move my card off my board over here. You have to be cautious not to discard your card until the end of your turn,
right? Because
at that point, it becomes a new active technology. So that ends my tactics phase. I can go ahead and remove all of these activation markers because they no longer apply.
Right.
And now I'm going to move into the drone phase where I can spend up to 2 of my Echo drones over here to take some actions. Now, these Echo drones are shared supply with the expedition player on land, and they haven't gone yet, so I don't know if they're going to need it. But for me, I can spend these Echo drones to either remove a spore or perform a ground strike if I had a dreadnought in orbit. Neither of my dreadnoughts are in orbit, and there are no spore clouds on the board yet. So there really is no need, or there's no way, actually, for me to spend these Echo drones right now. So I'm going to skip that phase and go straight to my end of turn phase where I can now discard this tactics card. For the next round, all of my frigates are going to have 1 additional shield, which is really nice for me.
Very nice.
And at this point, if there are any scientist transports that are still in suborbit, then they would get destroyed. They would die, unfortunately.
They would burn up.
Potentially lose points.
Yeah.
But fortunately, we don't have any yet. And before I truly end my turn, we can't forget now that we have to score some points.
Yep.
So I was able to destroy 2 ships on my turn. So that's going to score us 2 points. So now we are at 12 victory points. That's
Very
nice.
Yeah.
These go back to you because you can rebuild them later.
Yeah, that's 2 points for every 2 ships destroyed.
Yes.
Very good.
And that's the end of my turn. I do not draw back up because I have to wait until the end of round 2, 5, or 8 to do that.
Right.
But now the turn proceeds to the human expedition player on land. At this point, though, the alien meld player should start thinking about what you're going to be doing on your turn because, again, the board state is largely not going to change. All right, so now back to my turn as the human expedition player back on land. We have returned. And I'm ready to seek revenge against these aliens and protect these scientists.
Okay.
So I'm going to start my turn in the activation phase, and this is optional again, but I'm going to take advantage of this opportunity to activate my hero, Mac.
Okay.
So this is Mac right here. And to do this, I'm going to play the Stand Your Ground card.
Okay.
So this is going to allow me to activate Mac. And this card says I can place an absorption field in a location with at least 1 militia. And then I would score 1 victory point per Western location that has that symbol on it.
Symbols, yeah.
Like that. Where I have at least 1 combat unit present. So this is going to be able to score us 2 additional points.
Nice.
But first, let's go ahead and place that absorption field. So I'm going to go ahead and place the absorption field in this location over here because this is where the Empress is. And I'm just thinking that this is going to be a very hot spot in the future.
Yeah.
And before I forget, I'm going to place my activation token right next to Mac to show that this is my active hero for the round. Because later on, I can use her heroic feat ability. Now the humans are going to score that 1 victory point per Western location, where I have at least 1 combat unit present. So it's going to be these 2 locations, scoring us 2 victory points. So now we are at 14 victory points. And now that I've finished activating my hero, I'm going to discard this card to the exhausted tactics area. And that's really important differentiation between this discard and this one because these cards are out of the game.
Right.
And so moving on to my momentum phase, I can play up to 2 tactics cards to take actions, and I am going to play 2 of them. I'm going to play these 2. It's once more onto the breach and back on your feet, although the actual cards don't really matter at this point because I'm just going to use these symbols, which are 3 momentum symbols and 1 power symbol. So these are going to go into my tactics discard pile. And I think I'm going to start by spending that power symbol to activate one of my buildings before I forget. And since it's real early in the game, I'm going to activate my jammer because this building allows me to add a discord cube to the principal player's bag.
Yeah, increasing my chance to miss on attacks. That's,
Yes.
Okay, that's good.
It's nice nice and early,
That is good.
right? Then I think I'm going to use my Heroic Feat ability for Mac. And this does not cost any of those symbols. So Mac's ability allows me to move Mac to an adjacent location and assign 2 damage to one unit of my choice in either her new location or an adjacent one. So I think I'm going to move Mac over to the east pylon over here.
Okay.
So just one location over.
Okay.
And then I'm going to attack an adjacent location. I'm going to snipe the Empress.
Okay.
Or I'm going to attempt to, at least. So the rest of the card says I can assign 2 damage to one unit of my choice, but the principal player can discard up to 2 cards in order to decrease the damage received, essentially. And so by doing this, I actually don't put hit cubes because these hit cubes are essentially just translating automatically to damage.
Right. Okay.
So, Naveen, I'm going to assign both damage to the Empress.
The Empress is pretty valuable, and I think I will unfortunately get rid of 2 of these cards, meaning going into the next round, I would only get 2 actions. Yeah.
Slows them down a little bit.
It does.
But it keeps the Empress alive for a little bit longer because, as you may know, the Empress is a hot ticket item for scoring the humans' points.
Yes, it's 10 points if you kill the Empress.
So now I'm going to spend those momentum symbols. And again, I discarded cards that showed 3 of them.
Yep.
So I can take 3 actions. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move a scientist. I'm going to move one of these scientists who are under a big time attack over here. I'm going to move them to an adjacent location to the east pylon because now they are ready. They're in position for me to evacuate them up into space. And with my other 2 actions, I'm going to just attack the Empress twice, right? I'm here. Might as well give her all I got. But unfortunately, I don't actually get my way automatically. I just assign hit cubes to this location, and we're going to assign all of the damage at the end of my turn. So here are the hit cubes. I'm just going to place them both right here so that we can resolve them later.
Nice.
That ends my momentum phase, so now I'm going to move on to the drone phase, where I can spend up to 2 of these echo drones to take actions. I can either launch the scientist, or I can drop a marine from space if the armada has a frigate in orbit. Now, it is a little bit early, and this is a shared supply between the armada and myself. And I also don't think that I was prepared in space to receive this scientist. So the scientist is pretty well protected in this region, so I think I'm just going to skip this phase for now and not take any actions.
Okay.
So now we enter the cleanup phase where we must first assign this damage. And this is starting with me. So of course I'm going to assign the first damage to the Empress.
Okay.
Removing one of these chips under here because this of course represents her health.
Yeah.
So now you can assign the second damage.
Okay, so the way I see it is there is a odd number here, and because attack strength is divided by 2 rounding up, and a Centurion has a ton of health,
Yeah.
I think I can afford to allow the Centurion to take 1 hit here, and then leaving myself with a little bit of advantage when I go into my next attack.
Okay, so you don't want to remove any of your other...
That's right, because
Your
if I remove a Legion, then I go down to 4, so then I would only pull 2 cubes versus 3 cubes for having 5 units there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's assuming that you don't move any of your units out of this region on your turn, because remember, you do have that suppression rule that you have to abide by,
Yes,
right?
suppression's important. I don't want to take unnecessary damage from these 2 units here as I'm trying to leave, so I'm going to probably stay put for a little bit.
All right.
Hot tip.
I know your plans. And if there are any other hit cubes in any other locations, then you would resolve all of them. But for now, I am finished, so I'm going to end my turn by drawing back up to 4. And that's it for the human expedition. Now we're going to finish out this 1 round of gameplay with the alien meld player in space, which is you, Naveen.
Okay, so as the alien meld player, I get to go last to finish out the turn. And so I have my command cards. I also have my dice pool here, which has been rolled. I also have my evolved command cards, 4 of which are laid out here. And to start my turn, because I have dice in my dice pool, I'm allowed to construct 1 small ship. So I'm going to go ahead and construct a hood, and I must construct it where there's a Cobra. So I have this option here, or the mothership, which is a stationary one. So I'm going to place it here, knowing that you are into some funny business over there.
Ah, you noticed.
I got to protect myself. Well, you already destroyed one of them. If ever I start my turn and there's no dice here in this dice pool, then I do get to re-roll all of them, but it comes at a cost. I lose 2 victory points, and Monique would be able to construct a free Echo Drone.
Yeah.
Next, if there was a Skybeam on the land board, then I'd be able to put out a function cube in the same hemisphere in one of the zones there. There's not one there, so we don't have to worry about it. The principal did try on the previous turn, but wasn't able to do it. Next, I'm going to move on to selecting one of my Neuron dice. So I'm going to go ahead and select this one, the one that has 2 filled-in diamonds. And so for each one of those, I'm going to select 2 different zones and put 2 function cubes because that's how many are filled out. So I'm going to select these 2 zones. And this is where I'm going to be able to take some of my actions. Okay, so next I get to select 2 cards from my command deck, and I get to use the top half of one and the bottom half of the other. I have Evolving Meld and Spore Division. So I'm going to use the top half of Evolving Meld. And so this card's going to allow me to activate both fangs and hoods in each of the zones that I have these function cubes. So I've kind of set them up here as well as here. So first I'm going to activate this hood by moving it to an adjacent zone. Normally they could move in Torpedo, but there's no spores out there, so we're just going to negate that part right now. And the reason I wanted to do this is because Armada ships that are in the same zone as a hood cannot perform range attacks. And I see kind of what you're doing over here. So I don't want you to kind of shoot into this zone to then get into this zone over here.
Yeah, because I already did that twice, right?
Right, exactly. Okay, and then we remove the function cube, saying that that is done. And you can resolve these zones in any order, but next I want to activate this Fang right here. And seeing as I think Monique is possibly going to move towards my mothership, I'm going to forego moving my Fang and just purely place a spore right over here.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
There you go.
So we're trying to build some shield breakers.
And also, now that Naveen has hoods that are adjacent to zones that have his other meld ships in it, they provide 1 HP to all of the meld ships in their adjacent zones. And we can use this token to mark the additional health that these ships have.
Right.
So they're adjacent to 2 hoods, so they get +2 to their hit points.
Yes, because it's cumulative. This one is providing 1 in, and this one's providing 1 in here. So the entire zone is protected by +2 to all the ships there. Also, the reason why I wanted to put a spore here is because there's also a rattle in this zone, and rattles get to double 1 spore. So this one is actually a 2 in this zone. So that's the end of this Fang's action. So this is going to come back to me. And so I have 2 more activation tokens. They're now in this zone here. And I'm going to start moving to try to protect Orbit from this potential kind of rush over here.
The onslaught.
Yes, the onslaught. So the first one I'm going to do is I'm going to move this Fang into this zone, and I'm going to create a spore there.
Ah.
Yes.
So the old move and create a spore
Move
trick.
and spore, yes.
There you go.
So nice, real simple, real easy. This cube goes back. And frankly, I'm just going to do it again. I'm going to move in another Fang.
And another
And
spore.
another spore.
There you go.
Perfect. Awesome. And now because these 2 Fangs are adjacent to all these different hoods, we're going to add 4 to their hit points here. So that's great.
Wow.
That's real nice.
So they're going to have 6. It's going to require 6 hit points.
6 hit points, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Because again, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and they're all adjacent into this area here. Not through this technically red line, but through this little blue line this way.
Oh, so they're stronger than a Cobra now.
Yeah, exactly,
right?
yeah. They take a 6 hit, so it's
Ah.
4 plus the base 2 that they are. So that's it for all the effects of the top half of that first command card, and now I get to play my second card, and that goes into my discard, and now I get to take the bottom portion of this one, Spore Division. So it says select 2 zones with at least 1 meld ship or spore present, and place spores in each of them, and that spore value that I'm going to get is equal to however many rings we have seen here. So I'm going to be able to put out 3 in each of them. At the end of that, I may also create a Cobra, which I'm definitely going to want to do. And so the 2 zones I want to choose are going to be this one, and I'm going to get to put on 3 each.
3 spore clouds.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. So
So
now that's at
those are pretty
5.
good.
And this is at technically 5 as well because of your rattle.
Because the rattle doubles 1. Yep, exactly. So if Monique ever moves one of her frigates into any one of these zones, all their shields would be lowered, and it just takes 1 hit to destroy them.
Not good
Not good,
because
yeah.
I can't rebuild them.
Nope.
So
And lastly, I'm going to create a Cobra as indicated here. And the way that works is you're going to take 1 of each small type of ship, so the rattle, the Fang, and the hood, replace them with a very nice little Cobra here. Ooh, it's beautiful.
And they're all from the same zone, right?
They are, yes,
So-
exactly. And so now this is really nice because I have Cobras in 2 different zones. So if I ever play a card that allows me to activate Cobras, I'm not just stuck to kind of one zone. I can do it in multiple fronts.
Right, because Cobras are pretty strong.
They are. Now, I did remove a hood, so that does mean I lose one of these kind of protecting hit points. So that goes out. So there's a
Okay.
cost benefit there,
Yeah.
but I like it. And usually when I activate these ships, I should have been using these activation tokens. We didn't do it here, but we kept track of it. At this point, we are done with the turn, so I'm going to discard my card as well as the neuron die that I used.
Nice. So Naveen did not score any points as the alien meld player, but
No.
you actually got a lot of stuff set up here.
Yes.
Because if I wanted to move towards the mothership, you kind of have those grounds covered. And same thing if I were to try to move towards orbit to try to save some scientists, there are some spores that are blocking my way.
And since this area feels nice and protected, I may want to strategically move maybe towards the lunar refinery or start working towards those ships out there.
And that's it. That is the first round of gameplay for our game. There are many ways in which you can proceed from here. In much later rounds, you'll do things such as evacuating scientists, you'll do ground strikes, and a lot of different fun stuff that we did not get to showcase in this gameplay. But we hope this video is a good start for you all to get started playing.
So if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments down below, and we'll try to get back to them as soon as we can. Also, if this is the first video and you have not seen the tutorial and you are interested in more specific rules, there's always that link up here as well as in the description. Thank you so much for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.